What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. We're talking today about AEW Revolution 2022, the pay-per-view, not live premium event, a pay-per-view from All Elite Wrestling featuring a bunch of grudge matches. It was going to be brutal. It was going to be bloody. We all knew it going in. It was going to be crazy. So what happened? Who won? Who lost? Where are we going in the future? We're going to talk about it here in our review of AEW Revolution 2022. But first, before we get to that, you know this is YouTube, and what does YouTube like? It doesn't like dog collar chains. It doesn't like triple threat matches. It doesn't even like the TNT or TBS Championship. It likes the like button. Or if Orange Cassidy was doing it, the like button. Be like Orange and hit that like button. Give it a good old little gentle tap in. It'll help the other wrestling fans on YouTube find this video. So I appreciate it very much. And let's get on to the review of AEW Revolution. I do have to make mention of the Buyin, the pre-show, which is what it is, on YouTube, which actually was a pretty good show within itself. Legit Layla Hirsch took on Chris Statlander in a very good opening match that had a lot more energy. When they came out, the fans were kind of like, okay, you know, they wanted to see Hook. They were expecting Hook to start, but it was these two women, and they did a bang-up job. Layla Hirsch getting the win there. We also had Hook eventually taking on QT Marshall in another good exhibition as we build Hook up and let him go along. This was his toughest match to date. He's getting kind of like a weird, this is a similar kind of Goldberg kind of build. It's like Hook is just kind of gaining steam, gaining momentum as he goes along. And in the main event of the buy-in, we had the House of Black with an absolutely fantastic entrance taking on Penta Oscura. Penta's got so many names. Pac, and of course the recently debuting Erik the Redbeard, formerly known as Eric Rowan of the Wyatt family, and of course the former tag team partner of the late great John Huber. So this six-man was freaking awesome too. It was brutal. It was back and forth. The House of Black does come out in the end, but man, the buy-in in itself was pretty awesome. And then we started the actual pay-per-view. Eddie Kingston, Chris Jericho kick it off. They have one of the many blood feuds in AEW right now, and Eddie Kingston wasn't wasting any time. He gets to the ring. He's chomping at the bit. First move of the match, he drops Jericho on his head. And it looked nasty, and I was like, okay, maybe he's okay, but when Jericho kicked out or whatever, he wasn't getting up, and all you can see, Aubrey was concerned. Jericho tries to get up, and he winds up rolling out the ring, which means he's hurt. So we start off on the rocky legs here on AEW Revolution, but this was a fun, brutal banger of a match. Eddie Kingston getting the big win finally winning the big one over Chris Jericho in the end. That was absolutely amazing, and it was just the beginning of a crazy night of action. The AEW Tag Team division is the greatest in the world. It might be the greatest of all time at this point, but AEW Tag Team Championships on the line. Jurassic Express defending against both reDRagon and the Young Bucks in triple threat match. There's so much stuff that they did. Jungle Boy in particular was the standout. This dude did some combo moves. He flipped one of the Jacksons over, he did a Hurricanrana, landed on top of Nick Jackson after doing a Hurricanrana on Matt Jackson off the top rope, and then they suplex. And then there was another, they did a Doomsday Device. reDRagon's tandem offense was absolutely crazy, and their ring psychology was great. There was one time where I've seen it before, I can't remember the last time I saw it, a triple clothesline spot where you had, I think it was Matt Jackson, Jungle Boy, and I think it was Bobby Fish. They managed to work it out where they all clotheslined each other, and it was beautiful. It was timed so perfectly. The timing in this match, the action in this match was absolutely out of this world. It was one of the best tag team matches. It's definitely on my match of the year candidate list. This thing was crazy. Jurassic Express somehow managed to retain the AEW Tag Team Championships. It was phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. Then we go to even crazier. We got the Face of the Revolution ladder match, a bunch of big bruisers in this one. It's funny how, remember the old days when people used to say that AEW was a bunch of vanilla midgets? Not anymore with the people they've been bringing in. My goodness, there's some beef in this match. Great spots. Ricky Starks was really good in this one. Waiting for him to kind of finally get a place and a chance to shine, and he really did in this match. Orange Cassidy doing his usual comedy routine. He was a nice little addition to this match. Christian was solid. Of course, Keith Lee was solid. The confrontations between him and Powerhouse Hobbs and him and Wardlow were all fantastic. At the end of the day, though, it was Wardlow, the big war dog, getting that big old Sonic the Hedgehog ring off the top, and now he is the face of the Revolution, and this would have ramifications for what would happen a little bit later in the show. The TBS Championship match, which I thought would come later in the night to be kind of a cool-down match, but it's really bad to say that anybody's a cool-down match. There really wasn't a cool-down match on this card. This would have been one, but this wasn't even really a cool-down match. But we had Jade Cargill, got it right, Jade Cargill defending the TBS Championship against Ty Conti and that booty. Nowhere near as great as action as the prior. I mean, they had a tough spot to follow, tough acts to follow. Like the 3 matches that came before them were all phenomenal. So, but even to this is, I think, one of Jade's best matches. This was really good. She's showing progression, definitely. Her undefeated streak, her current reign as TBS champion. Ty Conti really came in there. They had one spot where Jade got hit. Their faces cheated badly with a chair, and Jay kicked out of it. But at the end, it was Ty Conti trying to get a little bit too cute on the top rope, got herself set up in a position where Jade could finish the match, retain the TBS Championship, and now go 29-0. Yet another gold. We got a bunch of Goldberg kind of builds in AEW right now, but she's undefeated as well. And we'll see who can take the belt off of Jade. I don't see anybody in the near future that can do it. But I'm sure at some point in time somebody's going to have to. Every championship reign has an expiration date. We just can't foresee what it is for Jade Cargill and the TBS Championship yet. And dear Lord, the main event for the first half of the show, match number 5, CM Punk, MJF, dog collar match, blood, thumbtacks, brutality, great storytelling, Punk injuring his knee, Max getting his hand, CM Punk just drilling knees with the chain into the hand. The sound and the shooting, the production on this was really good. I'd be remiss too, again, about the production of this show. AEW is really kicking it up here on the production of this show. CM Punk's entrance was absolutely fantastic. He went back to Misera Contare, I think that's what it's called. The beginning, his Ring of Honor theme, his Ring of Honor gear with the 3 X's on the back. Oh my God, that was really crazy. He came out to that. Really throwback, and we had a brutal. This match is up there with Valentine and Piper for me. A lot of little hints and nods in here and there that they really went at it. CM Punk was bleeding all over the place. It looked like he really hurt it. Both of them probably hurt himself. Feeling pretty bad tonight after this match. And then we got MJF calling for Wardlow. There were a couple little botches in the match, but nothing significant. But Wardlow called to the ring by MJF. Wardlow comes out, got all dressed up. He's the new face of the Revolution. MJF's asking for the ring. Wardlow's like, I can't find the ring. Like, oh, this is so perfectly done. The crowd started getting into it, like, oh, we know what's going on. And then like, oh, he forgot the ring. And then CM Punk gets MJF down, and then as soon as he locks eyes with Wardlow goes, oh yeah, that's right, it's in the right pocket. Takes MJF's ring, puts it on the mat, and like, oops, and then walks back up to leave it for Punk. So Punk gets the ring, puts it on. Oh, this is such a great ending. He goes, and to the last, MJF is defiant, spits in Punk's face as Punk is holding him by his neck, by this chain, ready to punch him, and then he lays MJF's lights out, gets the 1, 2, 3. I was not mad at it. I originally had thought maybe a couple weeks ago that MJF should win this match, but I am completely fine with the way they resolved this. And I think it's because of the fact we know that it coincides with Wardlow's official face turn on MJF. So it's kind of dovetailing 2 storylines, and I'm satisfied with the ending. And then after the match, not only did Punk give a little nod to the, I'm glad JR picked up on it, the nod to Bruiser Brody with the chain in the mouth, but he also did the belt thing. CM Punk, whoever wins tonight, CM Punk is going after the AEW Championship after this. Outstanding match. I think we got at least 2 match of the year contenders easily on this card, and it's only halfway done. So after that, we went on to see the AEW Women's Championship match. Britt Baker, DMD, defending against ThundeRosa in a rematch from their match of the year winner, contender, depending on which match of the year you think. from last year, which was an amazing match. But the one thing that you see here is, and something we do talk about with AEW a lot, is an embarrassment of riches, because the first half of the show was so crazy and the crowd had just gone through the CM Punk match with MJF. This match, the crowd was a little bit dead. In fact, they were a lot dead through most of this match. Not to say that the match was bad. These women did an amazing job in doing what they did in the ring, but there's only so much energy a crowd has. There's a lot of chicanery in this match. However, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, does wind up retaining the AEW Women's Championship. This is nowhere near as good as the match that they had on Dynamite last year, the Lights Out match, but it's, they were put in a tough spot. The matches they had to follow, that's pretty tough. Then we get into one of the more curious matchups of the night. Jon Moxley taking on the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And this match, the crowd was still dead for about the first half of this match. They started getting back into it as the match went on. Moxley and Danielson, they did have a lot of great sequences in this match. There's one part where they're both just holding one of each other's legs and kicking the other one with their free leg over and over again. It was a good combination of Danielson's good at strikes too, but his submission style against Moxley's strikes. But Moxley also has pretty good submissions too. But that went back and forth for quite a while, and it wound up with kind of a fluke pin. Jon Moxley kind of reversing one of Danielson's submissions, getting the pin because Danielson's shoulders were on the mat. He was unaware, didn't let go of the hold, and there was a 3 count, and he got into the face of Bryce Remsburg, if that is his real name. And there was a little bit of shoving between the two of them. And then Moxley and Danielson start fighting, and security comes out, so it's this big crazy thing. The crowd really picked up after the match, for the fight after the match. And then, surprises, surprises, we have William Regal, fresh out of NXT, fresh out of the WWE, showing up here at AEW. Yet another NXT gold, black and gold standard, showing up at NXT. A lot of people suspect immediately that he'll probably be running Ring of Honor when and if AEW gets up and running again. But he stepped between Danielson and Jon Moxley here and told them to stop fighting, and Moxley wasn't listening, so Regal slaps the living crap out of him. Now that Moxley responded to, Danielson's giggling. It's kind of like if you have siblings, when like your sibling gets in trouble with your parents and you're like hee 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 ha ha, and then the parent comes over to you and goes, and you too, and Regal slaps the crap out of Danielson, and the looks on their faces were great. And then at the end, because of William Regal, he has Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley shaking hands. So I guess this partnership is on, probably with William Regal on their side as well. I'm not so sure. We're going to have to see this coming week on AEW Dynamite for that. Speaking of big debuts, we have William Regal in this match, but also on this night, Swerve Strickland, who I remember from Lucha Underground when he played, I think it was Killshot. He played back in Lucha Underground. Obviously, he was in NXT, and he's been all over the place, MLW, so on and so forth. He is now AEW confirmed, signing his contract here with Tony Schiavone on air and getting over his catchphrase. I absolutely love the fact that AEW just keeps throwing these surprises at you. It's like, you almost ask, like, well, how big is this company? How many wrestlers are they going to hire? We already got 2 new people on this night. We got William Regal and Shane Swerve Strickland, so it just keeps going and going. Then we had the match that I thought was going to be the cool-down match, like the Texas Tornado 6-man tag match with the Andrade family, Hardy family office with the AHFO and all, whatever. They came out to the ring. They were going to be taking on the team of TNT champion Sammy Guevara, who's teaming up with Sting, and Darby Allin. Darby having another one of his art student video montages to be his entrance to the ring. Again, the AEW is pretty good with a lot of the entrances and the theatrics on this night, and I like the fact that they save it for the pay-per-views, and it's not something we see all the time, so it feels a lot more special when they do these shows. But this match, I thought it was just going to be like a cool-down match as you get ready for the main event. Everybody's just they're just going 9,000% on this show. This 6-man was crazy. This, again, way too many spots in this match. One of the ones that stuck out to me big time, though, is Sting out in the crowd. We had pretty much all the AHFO in this damn match. Bunny, the Butcher and the Blade, and the Private Party, and everybody was running down. And there's a lot of rundowns on this night. And they've got Andrade and Darby Allin fighting on top of the stack of tables that the Butcher and the Blade had set up. Andrade winds up on his back on the topmost table. Sting in the crowd from the balcony, and I'm like terrified that he's going to slip or something. But 60-plus-year-old Sting does a dive off the balcony through Andrade, through about 3 decks of tables, and I was terrified. But fortunately, everybody came out of it. Like, there are a lot of close calls on this show tonight, and this was one of the closest ones. I got scared. You had a Private Party trying to put Sammy Guevara through a table on the opposite side of the arena at the entrance. Sammy turns it into the Spanish Fly and goes through both tables underneath, and just there's so much. Another crazy one that's worth watching. In the end, it is Darby Allin basically missing the coffin drop because Matt Hardy was selling when he went to go do it, so Hardy was turned to his side. But Darby caught enough of his head, so it was like kind of a coffin dive head drop, I guess you could say it. They're like, whatever, we're done with this match. Darby Allin gets the pin on Matt Hardy. The team wins. Not as much of the drama I thought because of what we saw on Friday in the 3-way match that Darby and Sammy had a little bit of a disagreement at the end of the match. Darby wouldn't shake Sammy Guevara's hand. That really didn't come out in this match too much. Sammy made mention of it a little bit at the beginning at the entrance, but nothing really came of it here. That's probably going to be a storyline for the future. And of course, in the main event, we have the AEW World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Hangman Adam Page defending against Adam Cole Bebe. And my God, this is... The AEW audience in Orlando really got into... I think they came up with about 10 different variations of chanting something with Adam in it. Holy Adam... let's go Adam. Like they were having a fun time with the whole fact that both of these guys were named Adam. A little bit too much. There were a couple people that were just the whole match, all they kept doing is thinking of new things to chant about Adam. However, the match itself was actually pretty good. And as the match progressed, we got reDRagon, we got the Dark Order. No Young Bucks, no Kenny Omega, no Don Callis, so I'm going to talk about it in a second. But there was a lot of close calls here. Adam Cole hit a couple Panama Sunrises on Hangman Page outside the ring, in the ring, then went for the boom, didn't get the pin. Then you got Hangman try to do Adam Cole's moves on him. But in the end, it was Adam Page doing Adam Cole's moves, setting up the buckshot lariat. Adam Page hitting the buckshot lariat and getting the 3 count. There was a time where he hit the buckshot earlier in the match, and we saw the Kevin Owens WrestleMania fingers on the rope escape from that, but he couldn't escape the second time. Hangman Adam Page retains the AEW World Championship. He is becoming a pretty damn good World Heavyweight Champion, in my opinion. After the match, he lifts up Adam Cole's limp hand and Code of Honor, shakes his hand. Both of those guys coming out of Ring of Honor, of course, when they were doing their time there about 5 or 6 years ago. And we went off the air, and that ended a pretty damn good show. Like I said, there is a bit of an embarrassment of riches here, and I think when your cards are this stacked, and not only the main card, but then the 3 matches on the pre-show, the buy-in show, were pretty damn good too. There's only so much after 4 or 5 hours that an audience can take, and even though you have so much good stuff, it's almost like the audience got stuffed. Like if you're eating a big meal, they all felt stuffed after the CM Punk MJF match, and then it took a little while for them to kind of digest what they had already seen and then get back into it for the last 2 matches on the night, and pretty much halfway through the Danielson Bryan match. I do feel bad again for ThundeRosa and Britt Baker. They got caught I'm sure when they got the call sheet, they were like, oh God, we got to follow MJF, and we have to be the ones to follow them. MJF and his dog collar match with CM Punk, great. Thanks a lot, guys. But overall, I can't just argue. This is once again, AEW knocking it out of the park. Another fantastic pay-per-view. I think it's going to be in the top echelon of pay-per-views that AEW has done in its brief 3.5 year existence, or a little over 3 year existence. And not too many complaints. There were some botches here and there. Some things didn't work out quite well, but those were few and far between. Most of all, a lot of matches on this card that I did not think were going to be much of anything were way better than I thought. Like 2 or 3 of them. The 6-man tag tornado match, I did not think we were getting all of that from that match. The tag team match, I gotta say, that's probably the match. That and the dog collar match were the match of the night. That tag team tornado match was fantastic. The dog collar match was fantastic. The pre-show matches that were fantastic with the the House of Black against Pac and Penta and Erik Redbeard. I mean, up and down the line. I mean, Jade Cargill's best match since she's been in AEW. I mean, you've got a lot of great stuff on the show. Absolutely recommend it if you haven't seen it. But that's just my opinion. I want to know what your opinion is. Let your voice be heard in the comment box below. And if you would like, please hit the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell. And be sure to share this video on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, wherever you talk about AEW and pro wrestling. I will be back here for more news, rumors, and commentary here on the Rantin Review Pro Wrestling. Have a good day.